What if the thing you're running from could actually be released with your breath? Today, I'm joined by Fire, a man whose story will stop you in your tracks. He didn't just find breathwork. Breathwork found him, right when he needed it most. In this episode, he shares the unfiltered truth about how breath helped him heal from the inside out. And then he walks you through a guided breathwork session you can do right now. If you're feeling heavy, stuck, overwhelmed, or even just curious, don't miss this one. Let's breathe together. This is episode 70. Can breathwork really heal you? Aumfirhia shows you how. Welcome to Healing with Haley. I'm your coach, Haley Kirk. On this podcast, we dive into ways to heal, embrace, and truly love our lives. Here's my belief. So much of our suffering comes from what we believe. I'm here to help you understand your mind and question those thoughts to start your healing journey. Ready to get started? Let's go. Welcome, podcasters. I have an amazing guest, my super long time friend. Paul is his former name, but his new name is Aumfirhia or Fire. And I'm so excited to have him on, or having him on, to talk about everything breath work. And he's so amazing at this. So he's like the expert in my circle of friends. So I want to hear everything you have to say, Paul. Or Fire. Sorry. I got to kick the habit.
That's okay. Yeah, I'll start with that. And we talked before the call about having a prayer. So if you wouldn't mind, I'll say a prayer just to bring in spirit.
Let's do it.
Spirit.
Let's go.
God, Father, Mother, thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity we have to be here, to have a conversation, to touch a soul, to touch several souls, to touch the hearts and spirits of those who listen to this episode. We pray the Spirit of God to be within and through us, and to help us to achieve the higher level of self, to become the human being that thou dost have in mind for us to be. We thank thee, Father, for our lives, for the breath in our lungs, for the blue of the sky, for the birds of the earth, for the green, for the trees. Thank you, God. Thank you for our ancestors, for our fathers, for our parents and our mothers, those who came before us, who allowed us to be. Thank you. Thank you for Jesus, for Buddha, for ascended masters who teach us a higher way of being. May we follow their example and step into our true self. And we say this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. So tell us the origin story of how you found breath work, what the techniques are. Give us everything, all the deets.
Yes. So in 2019, I was a teacher of young people, 9th through 12th grade, at Crestview Preparatory School. This was a school, it's like the end of the line school. Imagine, you have kids who've been expelled, kids who've gone to jail, foster students, homeless. Homeless at this school was anyone not living with a mother or a father. So if they're living with grandmother, they're considered homeless. If they're living with auntie, they're considered homeless. So it's an interesting way of framing those relationships. These were difficult kids. And in those classrooms, there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of emotional pain, a lot of fear, a lot of abandonment, a lot of trauma expressed. For the first time in my life that I can remember, in an employment setting, and I'd worked in restaurants, I'd been a teacher, I taught 8th grade U.S. history, I had lots of different kinds of jobs. For the first time in my life, started experiencing something that I'd never experienced before, where I had to call security, because there always had to be an adult in the classroom. I get security in the classroom. I'd run into another teacher's room or a therapist, and several times, 3 or 4 or 5 times, I just went into a space that was safe. It was almost like going from, like in the movies where it's like all the lights are on and the lights just turn off and you're able to breathe. And I just would start crying. And I recognized I was having panic attacks in this setting. So at the end of that school year, my principal, well, before I got to that, um, during this year, I recognized I wasn't going to make it through the year if I didn't find some kind of community to plug into. I had moved. So rewinding to the summer of 2019, I was serving tables at Tucanos in Orem, and I was working at Yummy's Barbecue in Orem. I was working with um, a company for I was doing some phone sales for this online company that helped improve people's credit scores. And I got this job offer to come down to Phoenix. And I owned a condo at the time. And that was sort of a whole nother story I don't want to go into. But I sold the condo, sold my car, moved down to Phoenix. And within 2 weeks, I lost my job. I was supposed to be teaching seventh and eighth grade English and history, like congruent at the same time consecutively. So I I had had a couple of arrests as a teenager, and those prevented me from having a quick clearing of my background by the state of Arizona public education or public works. So I put in like 50 applications. I rushed to the Bay Area to clear up these arrests to get them expunged. I was able to get one arrest expunged, but the city of San Francisco is nearly impossible. I almost accidentally burned down the school when I was in sixth grade, but I just like burned down a couple of massive trees, and we were arrested. It was put on our original file, but no charges were filed. I never went to court, never spent any time in jail, but it's still on my record to this day. So fast forwarding, I'm having these panic attacks. So I found a job. I put in like 50, 60, 100 applications in like this period of 2 weeks, losing my job, moving down to Phoenix. And I'm like, I'm here. I've already basically recycled my life out of Utah into Phoenix. I transplanted. It's time to figure this out. So I got a serving job at a restaurant, and then I got this teaching job within like a couple of days. So fast forward a few months, here we are. It's maybe not even a few months, October, November. October, I went to the Summit of Greatness, right? With Lewis House. He brings in Ed Milet, Jesse Itzler. Who else was there that year? I think Leanne Rhymes was there. It was amazing, powerful. Stefan Labrosier, Stefan Speaks. Some of the most amazing speakers I've ever heard. Ed Milet is the best speaker I've ever heard. I've been to dozens of events in person. You've heard Ed Milet in person, right, Haley?
I don't think so.
I think. No? Oh, yes. At this last summit, it was not Ed Milet, it was David Goggins and Joe Dispenza.
Yeah.
Oh, that was powerful. But Ed Milet in person it's like if you haven't been able to feel like you're getting a recharge, it's like plugging in your battery and getting a jolt of energy. He's a recharge, and it was so powerful. But the most powerful thing at this event was in the mornings, which unfortunately I think Lewis has stopped doing since. In the mornings, Lewis would do these breakout sessions at 6 in the morning of meditation, of breath work, of sound healing, and of going on a jog. And so you could choose one of those 4 activities to do 3 days in a row. So the first night, I'm staying in a hostel at this event, and I have a night terror. So at the same, around the same time I'm having these panic attacks, I have this night terror. One of my roommates, there's like 3 people in the room. This woman wakes me up. She's like, hey, Paul, you're having a night terror. I'm like, oh shoot. And I'd had those as a kid. I'd experienced some trauma as a young boy. And I'm like, oh wow. Later in the day, after I go back to sleep, wake up, we're going is like later that night, I hear these guys talking about how they went into this breath work, Wim Hof breath work, and they several people were crying, like bawling in this breath work. And granted, I believe this is before I had started having panic attacks during the school year. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that the next day. So I woke up the next day, I go do this breath work. I learned this Wim Hof breath work. It's amazing. It's powerful. It's one of the few times I had a visual. It's the first time doing breath work. I saw mountains. I saw these mountaintops, and they might have been painting a picture of the visual. They'll do like the breath work and then a guided meditation before or after. And I felt my dad's presence really strong. My dad had passed in 2009, nasopharyngeal carcinoma, cancer of the nose, and that was a really difficult loss for me. So I started doing breath work, but not consistently. But what was the coolest thing is one of the guys there teaching the breath work in Columbus, Ohio. His name is Michael Roviello. He had a center he had opened in Phoenix called Optimize. It's the coolest place on the planet. One of the coolest places. You go in, there's like red light therapy, there's infrared, it's hot sauna, there's cold plunge tanks, there's a hot tub, there's compression sleeves, there's a biocharger, there's these cool communities, and several times a week there's classes. They've got yoga, they've got different breathwork classes being taught. And so I start regularly attending these breathwork classes as a way to like transcend the funk, the difficulty of dealing with these really traumatized, highly emotional young people that is affecting my empathetic kind of state of being. So I start doing breath work and I avoid the cold for like a couple months. And then eventually I start doing cold plunges and I just get hooked. I'm like, hook, line, and sinker, sign me up. And so I start doing breath work pretty consistently and cold plunge pretty consistently in 2019. That's how it began.
Wow. So for someone who's like breath work, what is breath work? Like dumb it down for us. What does that mean? What are all the modalities you've heard of? It sounds like you're using Wim Hof. So just simplify it for someone who's like, what is that?
Yeah. So how about I talk you through a few? There's so many types of breath, and maybe we'll go through a couple. Is that cool?
Yeah.
I'll walk you through a couple. So I think the most basic level to start is box breath. So that's breathing in through the nose. If you have a deviated septum, putting your mouth like a straw. Slow breath into the diaphragm, up into the chest, up into the brain, oxygenate the brain. So you're breathing in for like 4 to 8 seconds, and then you're trying to double your exhale after a 4 second hold. So it's basically, you can call it a 4x4 box breath, combat breath, 5-7-8 method. They're all pretty much the same. So it's taking a deep breath in, holding, and then release. And then hold at the end. This kind of breath work is going, I don't know the exact scientific term. I always forget it, but essentially it's going to reduce your stress. It's going to calm you down. So then we have Wim Hof breath, Tumo breath. This is going to energize the system. So this is breathing into the belly, up into the chest, up into the brain. So if you're feeling low energy, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling sort of like poopy, this is a really good way to energize the system, alkalize the blood, get your heart racing a little bit. So then we have holotropic breath work, which is essentially that style of breath work consistently for like 10, 20, 30 minutes, which is super intense. It's a good way to drop into like an astral realm or like have almost like a psychedelic experience. I don't do that very often, but it's a really cool experience. Generally, I will only do that when in a guided class, and not because it's not something I'm afraid of. It's just it takes a lot of energy, and so it's easier to do within a community.
30
So
minutes.
Tumo breath,
Wow.
on the other hand, yeah, that's holotropic. Tumo breath, though, You're breathing like Wim Hof breath. You're breathing at your pace. Like a beginner pace is more like, and it's cyclical, right? So you're not stopping. You're breathing up and you're exhaling. There's no hold. So more beginner is slower, and a more advanced would be, that's more just like you're really going to alkalize the system, and you're only going to do that for like 30 or 40 inhales. And then on the final exhale or inhale, whichever you choose, it depends on like what feels good for you. You're going to take a deep breath in or exhale and hold. And then you'll wait basically for as long as you can. And then you'll take a deep inhale. And I like to tap, breathe it all in, and then hold. And then you'll let it out. And with Wim Hof breath, you're doing 3, 4, or 5 rounds. And by the end, generally he has you laying down or sitting in like a lotus pose to do the breath work. Most people will lay down. By the end of it, it's like a euphoric state. It's like microdosing psilocybin. It's like taking a Valium on either end, because it's like, even though you're like getting amped up with Wim Hof and you're like reducing your anxiety with the box breath, the Wim Hof, I would say, is they're both similarly like just calming the nervous system. So yeah, those are like, I would say those are the main styles of breath work that I've learned. There's all kinds. There's fire breath, which is like really focusing on belly. And there's so many. I think there's probably like hundreds, if not thousands, of different types of breath work with different names on them. And then there's just like a basic, practice. Thich Nhat Hanh talks about it, which is just like in breath, out breath, and just basically focus. And that's more of like meditation, right? But it's breath work at the same time. It's just focusing on the breath, closing your eyes, sitting in stillness. In your mind, it's like breathing in, I breathe in, breathing out, I breathe out. And it's almost as basic as in, out. It's a really good way to drop into like a nice calming meditation. You might have a thought or a feeling or an idea, or someone comes in your mind, you just label it: thought, idea, feeling, and you come back to the breath. In, out. Maybe it's transcendental meditation. You might do more like in, love, out, peace. Just focus. You might even just focus on one word. So those are some practices that I really like. Something that we talked about before the call started is tapping. And I think that's where I'd like to start, if you're cool with that. I'll walk you through a tapping exercise.
Yes.
And then we could do some I could do like just like one round of Wim Hof, and then end with a nice box breath.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So the tapping, I'll walk you through it first, and then you can follow along. So essentially, we're checking in with our feelings. So I had a knowing earlier, like I've got to do some tapping. I do tapping fairly regularly. I learned this in a grief group. And so it's like, how am I feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? So just checking in. And 1 is like not good. 10 is great. Okay. So I'm at like a 5 right now. Okay. So it's in like, I'm a 5. What am I feeling? What's my emotional state? That's the 5. Maybe a little lethargy, maybe some anxiety. Anxiety's been coming up for me today. So it's sitting at that 5, feeling anxiety. So first we're going to tap above the eyebrows. And it's, even though I'm feeling anxious, whatever it is you're feeling, I love myself completely. And this is the mantra I use. You can choose whatever mantra resonates. I like to go with, I love myself completely. I accept things as they have been. I recognize the divine within. I recognize the divine above. I'm grateful for this present. Something along those lines. You can come up with your own mantra. So we'll do that. I think it's even more powerful when we do it out loud, but you can do it in your head as well. And then we'll tap on the side, our pupils. We'll tap underneath the eyes. We'll tap above the lip, just like right underneath the nose. And then we'll tap on the chin. We'll tap right in that sweet spot at the collarbones, right on the muscle area. You sort of feel a little pressure point. And then we'll tap
Wait,
under the
is it
left.
below the collarbone or above?
It's going to be where you feel the pressure point. So it's just above. Let me see. I tap right underneath the bone.
Okay.
And yeah, just this is also a method you can use if you're doing EMDR virtually,
Mhm.
which I found to be interesting. And then we'll go underneath the armpit on both sides. Okay. So here we go. Even though I'm feeling anxious, I love myself completely. I accept things as they are. I recognize the divine within. I recognize divine above. I am grateful for this present moment. Side of the eyes on a pupil. Even though I'm feeling anxious, I love myself completely. I recognize the divine that is within. I recognize the divine that is above. I'm grateful for the blue skies above. Underneath the eyes. And this is generally the one where I feel like the most discomfort, even though I'm feeling anxious. Remembering to breathe throughout. Breathe deeply, slowly. I love myself completely. I recognize the divine within. I recognize the divine above. I am grateful for the friends and the loved ones in my life now. Above the lip, and I like to do the chin at the same time. Even though I'm feeling anxious, I love myself completely. I recognize the divine that is within, the divine that is above. I am grateful for this present moment. I am grateful for the God that is working in my life. And then collarbones, just underneath the collarbones, even though I'm feeling anxious, I love myself completely. I accept things as they have been. I recognize the divine that is within. I am grateful for God above, for the birds of the sky, for the green of the earth. Underneath the armpit, feel like a pressure point in your armpit on either side. Even though I'm feeling anxious, I love myself completely. I recognize the divine that is within. I recognize the divine that is above. I am grateful for this present moment. And on the right side, the other armpit, even though I'm feeling anxious, I love myself completely. I recognize the divine that is within. I recognize the divine that is above. I'm grateful for this present moment, for the butterflies, for the dragonfly, for the jaguar, for the panther, for the dolphin, and the fish, for humans that walk the earth in love and light and truth. Oh, and you
Wow.
can go through that over and over and over, and you can replace your own mantra. Um, and generally, if you ask yourself, how am I feeling now?
Yeah, I want
Like,
to go to
I'm,
sleep.
yeah, I'm for sure feeling like at least a 6 or 7, just right after that. Like it always jumps me up at least 1 or 2 numbers. And I'm feeling less anxious now and I'm feeling more relaxed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I feel what I felt when I did it, it was I loved this tapping under my eyes. Oh my God, that felt so good. That and the one above the lips. Oof, I love that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like weird. I've just never touched my face like that before. Like it was this weird,
Mm-hmm.
it's different sensation, but it felt really it's so interesting. Like the tapping, it's kind of, it's a lot of sensations, right? Like it's like, whoa, this is a lot, but it feels really good. I love.
And there's a lot with that. There's that book, Body Keeps the Score by Vander Kolk.
Oh
I
my
have it actually.
God. So I started reading his book. He's
Vander
amazing.
Kolk. Yeah.
Have you read the whole thing?
No, I'm like 100 pages in, but truly, right? What happens to us stays in our tissues until we release it,
Right.
right? Body keeps the score. So I, women, the feminine, those who are in alignment with their divine feminine, they have such a beautiful advantage over those who are misaligned with the divine feminine. All of us have the divine feminine, but the reason I say that is because I believe one of the core attributes of the center divine feminine is expression, healthy expression, right? Letting things out. Emotion comes up, letting it out. I feel like more often than not, women are in tune with their emotion. What's the emotional state they're in? If you ask a woman, they'll generally be able to tell you what their emotional state is. Whereas a man, and this is true for me. I can't speak for every man, but a lot of the time, I will I will be feeling an emotion, and I won't know in my mind what that emotion is until I really sit with it. Like, what the heck is going on? Why am I feeling this? Like, and sometimes we don't even know. Maybe it's the food we've eaten. Maybe it's the water we're drinking. Maybe it's being dehydrated. Maybe we're not getting enough sunlight. When was the last time you grounded your feet to the earth? Could be all the 5G. There's so many things that are affecting our energy. This discussion I had with my partner, or a friend, or family member, a thought that has been sitting with me since I was 5 years old that I have not been able to release, could be that. And so it's like, we got to let it out, talk it out, write it out, scream it out, fucking let it out, breathe it out.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. This is like I didn't think I would share this experience, but I'm feeling the need to. So on Mother's Day, I I did something really vulnerable. Um, Throughout my life, my relationship with my mom is like it's literally like up or down, off and on, and um, I just have to set boundaries and let her know I need space or whatever. But I still show up the best way I know to love her. And so I sent her a text message and I was like, Happy Mother's Day, Mom. And it felt really vulnerable to do that. And I did it without any expectation that she would send it back. And so I literally went in ChatGPT and I'm like, help me process this. I just sent a text message to my mom. I'm feeling really vulnerable and scared and blah. And it was like, what if you did a voice note to your inner child? And I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be good. So I literally put on my voice note app, turned it on, and I didn't think about what I would say. I just turned it on. And I was just like, okay, you you did this vulnerable thing. And then I was just kind of like mumbling and blah, blah, blah. But what was really crazy was I started to say, you're a good girl. Oh my God, I'm getting chills just saying it. I said, you're a
Yeah, it gave me
good girl.
chills. It gave me goosebumps, baby.
Did it really? No, it was
Mm-hmm.
fucking wild.
Activated the crown.
So I said, you're a good girl. You're a good girl. Even now I'm saying it,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's really activating like my skin and I kept saying, you're a
Mm-hmm.
girl, and I tried different ways of like influxes with my voice and like energies. I was like love, compassion, empathy, reverence. And I just kept trying these new ways of saying it.
Wow.
And I fire. I wailed, wailed. I kept saying, you're a good girl, you're a good girl. And then I was like,
Yes. Good. Beautiful.
and like I was
Yeah.
I was shaking, like my stomach was
Mm.
shaking, my voice was shaking, and I was like, "You're good." Like I was just, at that point, I wasn't saying you're a good girl. I was just crying and wailing and wailing. And it's so weird because I was in my friend's apartment, but she was gone. I had all the practicing, but like it was nuts. And I was like, this is because I have a best friend who's a trauma therapist, and she says that shaking is such a good thing. Like animals shake after they've been chased by predators. Humans don't shake. Like shaking is such a good thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like shake off the trauma.
Mhm.
Like, oh, that's so good. And so my body was
Yes.
doing it. And I was like, okay, I'm done crying. And I'm like, no, keep crying. It was so funny. Like,
That's a method that Tony Robbins encourages his students to shake, every hour or so. Just let it out, let off
and the thing
my
was,
dog taught me that. He's always
yes, shaking. But the
stop.
thing was, it was involuntary shaking. Like I wasn't telling myself. It was so weird, but cool to watch and witness this. And I was like, oh my God. Like it was such a healing, it was such a healing thing. And it was like, and then after that fire, I I said this. I said, I got you, little girl. I
Mm,
got, I have you.
yes.
I can
Yes.
hold you. I can take care of you. I got you. It's you and me, babe. Like I will take care of you. I'll
Mm.
be the voice for you. It was like so loud. I don't know where this thing came from. I was just like hit play and was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm talking to my inner child.
And there's so many thoughts I have with that. And I also want to lead you through a breath work. The the cool thing is we don't need our phone to do that. We don't need another human to be with us. I firmly believe everything we have is within us already. Everything we need is already within us. And you can go out into a forest. You can walk out into an area where there is no one around for miles. You can walk out into your backyard. It doesn't matter, right? Neighbors might be like, "What's going on with Kirk over there?" But you can talk to a tree, and you can do this without a phone. And it's something that we like. I'm with you. A lot of the time, I won't do something like that unless I'm talking to a phone. And it's so good to just express. We can just like, and it reminds me of James and I walked across the country, right, in 2020. This is after teaching at Crestview, and I felt this need to walk. And there's a huge story behind that. But on the walk, I was alone most of the time. James and I did a relay walk from the Uinta Mountains to Virginia Beach, Virginia, Neptune Beach, and we were alone most of the time. So I would talk. I would just talk out loud, talk to God, talk to the trees, talk to the birds, talk to myself. I would express. My dad used to say when I was a kid, he'd say, as long as you don't answer your own questions, you're not crazy. Because I always catch him talking to himself. And I think he would give himself pep talks and he'd walk himself through things. But I think it's a healthy practice, right? Can I walk you through um a little Wim Hof, one round of two more breath,
Yes.
Haley?
Yes, please.
All right.
Wim Hof me.
Yes, and beautiful share. So vulnerable. Your mother, I'm sure, received that. And it helps as we heal, right? We can hopefully help to heal the inner child of those around us. Maybe it's mom, maybe it's dad, but we got to remember hurt people, healed people, heal people.
Yeah. No, I firmly
Right.
believe in that. And like me being a mom, it's like, I get it. I get why you, especially if you didn't have the tools and the knowledge and the resources that I have, it's just crazy. It's never about the child. It's never about the child. It's always you. You being
Mm,
dysregulated. It's never the kid. It's never like today I lashed out at my son. He was ripping the book and I got upset with him. And I like ripped the book out of his hands and slammed it on the nightstand.
Mm.
And like went from 0 to rage mode. And I was like, where did that freaking come from? Trauma, like life,
Yeah.
me being dysregulated. So it's so important to know this breath stuff because that's what I like. I was like, oh my God, I'm not showing up the way I want to as a mom. Go to the kitchen, take some breaths, like just leave the situation. This is not good.
Hmm.
So it's like breath work is
It
so good.
reminds me of, yes, have you read the book by Randy, what's his bucket, The Last Lecture?
No.
Read that book.
Ooh.
And it's a page turner. You won't be able to turn. Randy Posh. He was a Purdue educated. He taught at MIT, not Purdue. This really prestigious science school, and he was diagnosed with debilitating chronic terminal cancer and died within like 6 months. And he had just had like a couple babies and gotten married later in his life, got married in his 40s. And so his last lecture, it's in the book and it's in and you can literally look it up on YouTube. And something in the book he talks about is um he had these nephews or he had these nibblings, nephew, niece, and they would come into his nice sports car. And it was like the first time, as soon as he got this, it was brand new. He got the sports car and he had a soda in his hand. And they came in, their hands were sticky or whatever. And I think their mom had told him, you don't get anything messy in your uncle's car. And he took a soda and he poured it all over the seats. And he said, and I believe he had already been diagnosed with cancer at the point, but this might have been before his cancer diagnosis. But his mentality was the the humans, especially the children, they're always the most important, not the rules, not the dogma, so to speak, the traditions that are placed on us that keep us in fear and in lack. And so he was trying to teach the kids, hey, relax. It's cool. It's cool.
He poured a soda in his own sports car.
Yeah. Like it's okay. If the kid wants to tear up the book, it's cool. You know what I mean? It's all good. It's a thing. A soul is the most important. The fibrous, spiritual entity that is existing in this body. Without the soul, without the spirit, this thing just is not. You know what I mean? You've
Yeah,
seen someone when
it's
they've
really
passed
hard
away, the
though.
spirit
I
leaves.
think that's I think that's very we can totally agree on that. But like I think that that this is the crazy thing about being a parent is like you're literally operating from trauma. Like it's so crazy. It's like an autonomic, the autonomic parts like our heart and our lungs. Well, I guess the lungs are not technically autonomic, but like it is so automatic, your reaction. It's weird. Like it's
Yeah,
like monkey see, monkey do. And it's like literally you have to train yourself to like, "Oop, not gonna do that." Like it's so weird. It's really hard to get out of that fight flight. Like it's like it's so crazy. But I understand it. Like what you're
totally.
saying intellectually, it's just it's a huge training process to like undo all that.
Yeah. One of my mantras that I've learned over the years working and just hearing different stories, doing a lot of reading is the Hopo Ono Ono.
I love
I love
that.
you. Yes, yes, I love you.
I've done that
I
with so
forgive
many
you.
people in my
I'm
life.
sorry. Yes, please forgive me. And Haley, I believe the most important person to do this with is with ourselves.
Oh, I haven't done
And
that
you can
yet.
do it with your boy. I would do it with my dog because he would piss me off, you know what I mean? And I would regulate and then I'd see how he was like fearful. I'm like, oh dude, I love you, man. He's my boy Rocky. I think you met Rocky. I love you, Rocky. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I forgive you. Thank you. You're a good boy, you know? And because it's the same thing with being a dog owner with a high energy dog, with a super crazy dog. I totally get it. We totally operate out of how we've been trained, how we've been programmed. So totally.
Yeah, it's crazy. I
Let's
think we
let's
were
do
gonna
it. Let's
do
do
the
a
weight
round of
loss.
breath work. And
Yeah.
yes, let's do it. So For those of you who are listening to this, if you have a place to lay down, I'd recommend laying down. Do not do this while you're driving. If you're in a body of water, don't practice this. If you have heart issues, this might be something to consult a physician before doing this kind of work. Similar to going to a hot sauna or going into a cold plunge. If you have heart issues, consult a physician. So I would encourage you, Haley, if you're in a position to lay down, and you can do this sitting up,
I'm
especially if you're not used to
gonna
doing
lay down.
this. Okay, cool. If you're not used to this practice, it might make you lightheaded, and you might feel like you want to pass out.
I'm excited to
So
pass
it's
out.
best to lay down. I would encourage those of you who are listening, if as you lay down,
This is how
have
you know I'm a
maybe a
single
little
mom.
pillow.
I have like
Have a
my
little.
son's little poopy diaper right there.
Oh no. Oh shoot. You might want to move that so you're
Yeah,
not breathing that in. You're going to be doing some heavy, deep breathing. So those of you at home, in a comfortable place, I would recommend having like a pillow under your knees as you breathe, and maybe just a nice, comfortable place for your neck to rest. You want to have I like to have my right hand on my chest, the left hand on my abdomen. And what we're doing is we're breathing into our belly, up into our chest, up into our brain. And we're oxygenating the brain, and we're doing it diaphragmatically. We're breathing into the belly, up into the chest, up into the brain. Okay. If you want a good, if you want to walk through just the basics of this, look up Wim Hof breath on YouTube. He has all kinds of breath work. He has an app, Wim Hof Method app, and there's Wim Hof instructors all over the place that do classes. So what we're going to do, we're going to breathe in 30 to 40 times diaphragmatically up into the chest, up into the brain, and you don't have to go at my pace. I'm going to go a little faster, but if you feel called, try to follow along. I'll sort of keep it at a medium pace. And at the final in breath, I'll say 3, 2, 1. You'll take a deep breath in, and then you'll let it out completely. Hold on the exhale. And then we'll take one final deep breath in, patting the belly, patting the chest, patting the sides, and you'll hold for as long as you can. And that's one complete round of Wim Hof breath. It's a little bit of it's called modified Wim Hof breath. Okay. Any questions, Haley?
I'm gonna follow.
Sweet. Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Breathe deeply in. You're breathing cyclically. You keep on breathing up into the belly, up into the chest, up into the brain. Breathing fully in. Fully in. Breathing fully in. Breathing partially out. Fully in. Keep breathing. Keep breathing fully in, diaphragmatically into the belly, up into the chest, and let it out. Cyclically, keep breathing. Keep breathing. I'm going to coach you through as you're breathing in. You might be thinking about this, thinking about that. Label it thinking, label it feeling, and just keep focusing on your breath. Fully in. You're breathing out about 70%. Fully in. 10 more deep breaths. Fully in. Fully in. Partially out. 3, 2, fully in. Let it out. Hold on the exhale. Hold for as long as you can. Generally about 5 to 15 seconds is cool. And then taking a deep breath in. We're going to pat our belly, pat our chest, pat our sides. Fill up that tank completely, get that oxygen fully into the belly, into the chest, into the brain, and hold for as long as you can. Hold on love, hold on peace, hold on. You are enough. You are worthy. You are whole, complete, and perfect as you are at your soul level. And when you're ready, let it out. Then we come back to normal breathing. And with Wim Hof breath, we'll do this practice 2, 3, 4, 5 more times, as many as you need to. A lot of the times you might feel sort of a tingling sensation. You might even feel your body starting to sort of seize up a little bit. Those are all normal things. This is not something you want to do on any kind of drug, especially ecstasy. I saw someone had a seizure one time. So I should have probably mentioned that beforehand. But we generally do 2 or 3 more rounds of this and then just go into a nice calming meditation.
Oh, I love it.
And that is Wim Hof. And while you're sort of just chilling there, Haley, a little bit of the background of Wim Hof. He is known as the Iceman. He's set 25 plus world records. He summited Mount Everest in his shorts. He swims in ice Antarctic frozen temperatures. I believe he's from Sweden. And he is the master. And he learned about all this just sort of getting in tune with nature. He had a wife. He had 4 or 5 kids, little kids, and his wife committed suicide. She jumped from this tall, like high-story building, and so he went into this dark place, and he into this dark night of the soul. And this practice came from him studying masters all over the world, studying world religion, studying breath techniques, and this is his own technique. So definitely someone to look into. Do your research on Wim Hof, Wimhoff. Amazing human being. And I'd highly recommend doing the the recommended dose of any kind of meditative technique. Breath work is 12 minutes every single day. And the science has proven, this has been studied by Amishi Jha, that if we will do 12 minutes of breath work / meditation every single day, being focused on our breath, it will actually help to heal the brain, heal the body, heal the soul. And it'll help to correct and heal the things like PTSD, any kind of emotional dysregulation. It will help bring us back to the center, back to the Tao, our soul nature.
My God,
How are you
feels
feeling?
amazing. Thank you so much. How can people, like, if they have more questions or if they want to reach you, what's some good ways to get in touch with you?
Yes. So great question. This, if I can just leave with this last thing. On Instagram, you'll find me Autumn Fire Hunter. I am. So as Haley mentioned at the beginning, I go by Aumfirhia. My mom died last year. She died in June of 2024. And my given name is Paul Thomas. The morticians that came to pick up my mom were named Paul and Thomas. And spirit settled on me a couple of months after she passed. And the name Aumfirhia came to me, which is Autumn Fire Hunter. I am blended as a way of going by my old name. I was given this name Autumn Fire Hunter by my dad, my native name, when I was a boy, as a way of recognizing Paul and Thomas walked my mom. They drove my mom to the mortuary. They took her mortal frame, and it's time for me to let go of those names I operated by as a child into my teens and my early 20s, and to go by this new, older name, my native name. It's a way of stepping into my native roots, honor my native ancestors, honor all of my ancestors, and And also another synchronicity, my wife, Camilla, who I married March 3rd, who she's pregnant. She's due to deliver here in middle of July. She has a brother named Paul and a brother named Thomas. So it's all in alignment. It's time to remember my roots, remember your heritage. It's like Simba, talking to his father in Lion King.
Yeah.
Remember who you are, Simba. You are my son. You know,
Yes.
that's sort of what it is for me. So, Autumn Fire Hunter, I am on Instagram. Polar Plunge Poet on Instagram. Aumfirhia Chavez on Facebook. I am stepping into starting a marketing company. I'm on fire marketing, working with home service industry. I want to step into eventually working with breath coaches and life coaches and business coaches. And we help to get their business on fire. So aumonfire.com. The website's under construction. TBD. We'll be
So
coming to you.
cool. I think you said you wanted to read a poem that you wrote.
Yes, that's right. I do have a poem. That's cool.
Yes.
All right. So something I didn't talk much about. I've been writing poetry these last several months since my mom passed, and I've been writing poetry off and on since probably 2010, 2011. I wrote a little when I was a teenager. I remember writing some love poems to these girls, and I got rejected. And I was like, "Oh, I don't need to be writing poetry." Um, you know, the rejection hit me in the heart, and I was a little wounded. But this one is called Legacy of Ancestors. I wrote this beginning on the 17th of January. I finished it on the 23rd of January this year. And it's based on the thought. So this is an acrostic poem. I write the thought in the margin, and then I just free flow, write the poem loosely based on the thought. We are the legacy of our ancestors. An idea that I heard in a group therapy, doing therapy on BetterHelp for several months. This group therapist in the group centered on, I believe, on losing a loved one. Or actually, the group is centered on transitions. Will you take the leap today? When will be the day? Everyone eventually expires on this mortal journey of life. Are there any of us who will make it out alive? Realizing this fundamental, obvious, yet overlooked truth may extract the perfect environment to draw out the recipe that sets the stage for the eventual achievement of living that dream life. If not now, then when? And who is to say that here in this moment isn't a perfect time to start? Either we get started on living that dream life, or isn't there already a spiral notebook full of those excuses? Little go-to sayings, relieving yourself of the possible reality existing only in the forefront of that crusted over gland of the pineal. Isn't that what they want? Another one to poke, to prod, to shout commands at, and as they do, and do as they are told. Another good sheep, yet another member of the crowded chattel. Fuck all that noise. It's time to wake up. It's time to smell the roses. Of all the times that ever were, now is the only real time we factually have to work with. Now, in this moment, as you read this splattering of words, remember who you really are, or better yet, who you were meant to be. Truthfully, an unsung hero, a legendary figure, a father, a mother, a son, a real friend. Your ancestors are looking to you with great expectations to breathe, to create, to become something better. And we must remember that we are the pride of moms, notable lineages, and long-winded brags of our cousins' grandmas, of our sisters' grandpa, of our ancestors. Each and every one of us, no matter how we were raised, has stats on our side. 2, 4, 8, 16, and on to infinity, to God. two parents, four grandparents, and on to our ancestors and past to our first parents. We are truly the seed of God. And in the raw, what is God's expectations of you, of me, of us? Simply to be happy, live free, love God, have compassion on others, forgive, have mercy, and for goodness sake, tell the truth about who you really are by living to your fullest stature and rising to your highest station. For truly, we are the legacy of our ancestors, and God knows they want us to succeed. Aho, Aumfirhia.
Yay. Clap, 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 clap.
Thank you,
Thank
Amy.
you, Freya. Did I say it right?
That's me. Yes. Or you can call me
Freya.
Fire.
Okay, fire is
I
easier, yes.
appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, we learned so much from you. After that meditation, I'm like, I need to go night night. Like, I feel so good.
There you go. Good. Oh, I love it. And we didn't even go over box breath. Box breath, you could look up 578 breathing technique on YouTube, combat breath. Um, you know, box breath. It's something that they train in the police academy. I went through the police academy. They trained us to use box breath before going on the hot calls. So,
Mm.
or if we're ever on a hot call, or if we're ever involved in any kind of confrontation, taking a deep breath in, hold, slowly let it out, and then hold. And that will help to regulate the nervous system, calm the anxiety, get you back to center. So
That's
I
so
love you,
good.
Ailey. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
It's a pleasure
coming. This was
talking.
amazing. All right, before you go, I need you to hear this. You don't need to keep white knuckling your way through life. You don't need to figure it out on your own. You deserve support. You deserve strategy. You deserve to feel like yourself again. And that's exactly why I'm offering you a complimentary free 30-minute coaching session. No strings, no pressure, just real conversation, real breakthroughs, and a real chance to feel lighter, clearer, and way more in control. If you've been listening and nodding your head thinking, yes, that's me, then this is the moment to stop thinking and start doing. Click the link in the show notes and schedule your free session right now. Right now, not later, not when you have time, right this moment, because you're worth showing up for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram at healing_with_Haley. I am here for you, but don't overthink it. What you're going to do in this free session is we're going to unpack any negative belief systems, build momentum with clear strategies, leave you feeling lighter, calmer, more confident, more grounded. These are the emotions you're going to feel after a session with me. Don't overthink it. The life you want starts with one decision. This could be the one thing that changes everything for you this year. Let's do this.